Hey folks, we recently had a situation in southwest Louisiana where a gentleman on the side of the road on Interstate 10 on the I-10 corridor that stretches between California and Florida pulled over to the side of the road and essentially was robbed and murdered. Feet from thousands of people who were passing in the on Interstate 10. That is not a place that I would ordinarily consider to be a danger zone. I know we see things on TV where you have these hijackers and killers that are on the interstate, but you rarely hear about murders that take place, again, only feet from thousands of traveling motorists. Again, an unlikely place for me to think that there might be a murder, which brings me to the video today. I wanted to point out three things that I felt were pretty important to prevent things like this from happening to you and I in the future. I'm going to go over this as quickly as I possibly can. The first point that I want to point out is awareness. I think that anytime somebody is seeking to do one of us harm, that we can almost always assume that situational awareness is going to give us the upper hand. It's going to give us the head start that we need to predict what our next move needs to be before the attacker has the chance to figure out what his next move needs to be. And by awareness, what I mean is, obviously be aware of your surroundings. If you have to pull over, if you have any kind of control over where you pull over, obviously pull over in a better lit area if it's at nighttime. Pull over in a heavy traffic area. In other words, an on-ramp or an off-ramp. Typically an on-ramp or an off-ramp are accompanied with hotels, gas stations, restaurants. So usually they're going to be placed in an area where there's quite a bit of traffic. So you're going to have more eyeballs. One thing that obviously criminals don't care for is being seen, being videoed. Many of us have dash cams. So at least those guys are going to be a little bit less interested in attacking you, mugging you, or murdering you in some of those high traveled areas. But definitely be aware the entire time. If you have to pull over, any threat is going to come from behind, right? Keep your eye behind you the entire time. If you are spotting somebody driving up, that's giving you that extra amount of time. Not only that you can plan what your next move is, but now if that person is an attacker, now they see that you have seen them. So they're automatically, the element of surprise is gone from them. You know what I mean? They don't have that anymore. So now they have to go to their plan B really quick. Oh, I've been seen, I've been spotted. Now what is this person's next move going to be? So we keep the upper hand by keeping that situational awareness. And again, I believe if you check with anybody in law enforcement or anywhere, situational awareness is the key to prevent many crimes where people seek to do us harm. So obviously be aware. The next thing, be prepared. Now, I know that sounds like an overused statement, but definitely be prepared. Obviously, my goal is always to never leave home without a loaded weapon on my hip, okay? So that's my number one suggestion to any of you guys out there, is to have a gun on your side. Whether you open carry or whether you conceal carry, have a loaded firearm on your side. There's no safer place inside a vehicle for a loaded weapon than on your side. Not a glove box, not under the seat, on your side. So certainly be prepared. Have that gun in good working condition. Be prepared that if you need to use it, you can use it quickly, you can get to it quickly. That brings me to my third point. That's going to be signaling. You want to signal to a potential attacker that you are prepared to do whatever is necessary and use any force necessary to protect yourself or your family. So that's critical that that attacker knows. Now, how is that attacker going to know that you're carrying a firearm and that you're willing to put a bullet in him? Because let's face it, the only thing criminals don't like or like less than being videoed is being shot. So the only way to prove to that guy that you are carrying, if you're not open carrying, is to expose your gun. Well, in the state of Louisiana, where this is being filmed and where I live, it's perfectly legal to open carry. So if I'm going to get out of my vehicle to change a tire, I'm now going to tuck my shirt behind my gun to completely expose my gun to show anyone that might be driving up to do me harm that I am carrying a loaded weapon. They're going to have to assume that it's loaded, of course, but they're going to see that weapon. They're going to see that as they're driving up. And don't be surprised if they drive off after they see that. Now, you might be thinking, what if that was a good Samaritan? Look, guys, I hate to be the pessimist, but I think in many cases, the person seeking to do you harm is more likely to pull over than the person that might be seeking to help you out. And let's face it, good Samaritans have been killed and mugged pulling over to people on the side of the road who are seeking to do them harm and ambush them whenever they pull over. So many Good Samaritans might be passing by rather, and want to pull over, but they're not going to because of history, and they're thinking, I'm not doing it. So again, I think statistically, it's more likely that somebody seeking to do you harm is going to pull over. Now that doesn't include, obviously, some of the road service people that might pull over to help you, or law enforcement. I'm talking about an unmarked car of some sort. So when you see that unmarked car, at least if you have that firearm in a very exposed area, they can see that. And they're going to see, okay, I'm approaching this person and I sought to do them harm, and now I know I'm going to meet some resistance, and actually some life-threatening resistance. There's a very good chance that that gun is never going to have to be used, because that person who's seeking to do you harm is going to make the decision at that point not to even mess with you, and they're going to keep going. Obviously, along those whole lines, if you can stay well lit, if you can bring some spotlights or some camping lights, keep something in your vehicle, something small that puts off a lot of light. There's a lot of things out there like that. That's always a good thing too. Guys, I just don't want us all to become victims. I want to do all that we can to prevent from being victims. It's very terrible to hear something like this happening, especially in your neck of the woods, but on the interstate, I would have never guessed that. So again, let's go back real quick and recap. Being aware of your surroundings, being able to spot danger before that danger has a chance, before they have a chance to go to plan B, you're already moving on to that next step, because you know that there's a potential danger in your little circle of safety at that point. So being aware is going to give you that edge. Being prepared, firearm, taser, mace, whatever you got to do, a baseball bat. Whatever you have to do, all those things are important to go to the step 3. Again, if you don't have a gun on you and you're pulling over, if you've got a baseball bat, lean it up against your tire. Let this person see. If you stand up to confront the person and see what they need, grab your baseball bat and carry it to, or stand firm with it, or carry it with you towards that person. But let that person know that you mean business and that you're not going to be low-hanging fruit. You're not going to be an easy target. And they may decide again at that point just to keep going.